teenagers. None of them went to a Crosby ISD school. Now, businesses in the area told me that law enforcement told them not to give out any other surveillance video. But in this area, really, there's not really many businesses. There's a lot of rundown buildings. Trying to get some of that surveillance video and talking to people has been hard, but we're working hard to try to gather more details about the tragedy that happened just behind me here over the weekend.
Yeah, Leslie, thank you so much for that report. Lots of good information there. As you guys can see, she's also doing her due diligence, reaching out to not only Crosby ISD, but also the constable's office. Try to, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, because this is certainly not something you want to see happen in your community. All right, we'll get to Leslie again tonight at 5 and 6. Other big story here today, family, friends, and members of the public came together to honor the life and legacy of boxer, pastor, and entrepreneur George Foreman. His memorial service was held earlier today at the Wortham Center, and he was eulogized by Houston Mayor John Whitmire, former boxer Michael Moorer, and Dr. James Douglas, the former president of Texas Southern University. Take a listen.
But those of you old enough to remember, when AIDS was really big, when AIDS first started, it was really ravishing the African American community. But because AIDS was first identified as a gay disease, most African Americans stayed away from it. So George came to me and he said, look, he said, I want to do something for the NAACP. He said, I'm making a lot of money, and I want to make sure I don't want to be like other athletes. I know that I'm making a lot of money because of people like Martin Luther King and the NAACP, and so I want to contribute something to the NAACP. So George ended up contributing $200,000, and at the meeting he asked me to read this, and I'm going to read you what he asked me to read. It's very short. But it shows what George was all about. And it says, my brothers and sisters in the struggle, with the ushering in of a new millennium and century, and so this is 2000, the easiest thing for a successful man to say is, look what I have done, as if we accomplished everything by ourselves. And for the most part, history is like that. I too have accomplished a lot, but with the help of God, my fellow man, and most importantly, with the aid of the NAACP. NAACPers are among the bravest of them all, those who put their lives on hold, their families in danger, and their love of American freedom first. So that I and so many other younger black Americans can say, look what I have done. To the NAACP, I say, thank you. That was George. That was George. George gave money to a lot of different organizations. You wouldn't believe it. But the thing that brought me to George was his love for God and his love for everybody else on the face of this earth.
Well, I will forever be connected to George Foreman. We went from being competitors in 1994 to having a relationship built on respect for over 30 years. George is boxing royalty, Olympic gold medalist and a two-time heavyweight champion, and also an inductee into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. This man fought competitively in 4 separate decades. The older George smiled all the time. We remember that smile, right? Do not be fooled. When that bell rung, he was all business. What's so funny? For real. No, I'm joking. George then introduced himself to another generation of boxers and fans as an analyst for HBO Boxing. George was a champion in life. His faith transformed a shy country boy from Texas to a successful businessman and a voice for the less fortunate. His capacity to reinvent himself, learn from the past, and re-engage with the world shaped boxing and the public for over 50 years. We should all learn from the life of George. we should all learn from the life that George led. Rest well, champ.
And what I remember most, certainly remaining in contact periodically through our careers, of all the traits that I could mention, his faith, his family, his boxing career, certainly his business career, the one that stands out to me as a friend of George Foreman, he never forgot where he came from. That is so significant for someone that reached such acclaim and worldwide recognition. He knew and recognized it started in Houston, Texas, in Fifth Ward, Texas. For our guests from out of town, Fifth Ward's about 4 or 5 miles northeast of here, historically neglected community. And about a year ago, George called me. I'd just been sworn in as mayor, and he said, Mayor John, I want you to come out to the house because I want to discuss with you how we can partner to give youth across Houston the opportunity that I received. Now, you remember, George dropped out of Wheatley High when he was 15 years old. Got a second chance of joining the Job Corps. It was a great society opportunity to give young men and women a second chance. He went to San Marcos, got his GED, was recognized for his athletic skills. So he asked me about a year ago, what could we do together? How could we use his ministry to assist young people with an education, health care, job training? It was special. Certainly anyone would welcome, certainly the mayor of this great city, George Foreman, would partner with our city, allow me to be in his presence, to travel this city, mentor young people like he was doing. And of course, he passed too soon. He and I shared the vision, and I want to publicly say today, his vision will live on. I am committed to George's vision across Houston.
You just heard from the mayor there, and along with those words, the mayor also named today George Foreman Day in the city of Houston. Now, ahead of the service, our Nate Griffin caught up with several people who shared some amazing memories, among them George Foreman's brother, Roy. But you're also going to hear from Fox 26 former sports director Mark Berman.
So this is your family.
Yeah.
And most of these people walking in here are your cousins.
Cousins?
I have already just mistakenly walked into like 3.
Now you see why he fought so hard. He had a lot of mouths to help educate and feed, and that he did.
I hear you, man. How you feeling?
I feel good. I mean, it's amazing to see how the city, man, this, when you come from where we came from in Fifth Ward,
Yeah.
It's a point of a time you thought the world forgot about you. But George made the world remember him. And the city didn't forget about him.
Wow, man. That's wow. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, you think, because we grew up at a time that, things were really hard in this country, civil rights and everything else. But he decided he wasn't going to let that stop him. I tell people that, as a young boy, after going through raising all the trouble he did in my mother, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, right? But by the time he was 16, he decided that I'm going to be an asset. He told my mother, I remember this today when he told my mother he left. He says he was going to the Job Corps to get a job. Well, out to get a training. And they said, we're going to give you, he was going to take an electrical engineer. I always think about that because I remember when the TV shows, the guy used to always say, I want to be an electrical engineer. So George wanted to go get a GED, get electrical training, work on radios and stuff back in them days, right? So he told my mother, I'm going to get a job. I had a younger brother who had polio. And my mother was struggling, the whole family was. And he said, I'm going to come back, I'm going to get you a car. We're going to get you a nice house. We're going to do all these things. My mother like, okay. All she wanted was for him to get out of these streets of Houston. He did that. And along the way, of taking care of